I'm joined now by Jorge Masvidal. Game Bread gets a rematch against Kamaru Usman. Now, last fight, of course, very short notice. This time, not so much. You've got a full camp. Were you expecting to get this rematch right away without having to take another fight in between?
Pretty much, yeah. We would have took anything else enticing meanwhile, because I love to compete and I love to earn paychecks, but there was nothing that really was really tickling our pickle, you know. They had thrown out that me and Kamaru would be coaching tough and we'd be scrapping in September. That was only like other plan that was really on paper, you know. This was going on for like 2-3 weeks as we were talking to you. That was the plan. It ended up not being it, but even better, I didn't really want to go away for 6 weeks and not see my family and be on that show. So this is much better.
Yeah, you were away from your family for about a year doing another reality show, so I imagine it's probably a relief for you that you don't need to do something along those lines again.
Definitely, it wasn't a year. Goodness, it was about 13 weeks that I was away. I only had like phone contact, and now you had to earn that, because basically in this reality show they just stripped you of like basic needs like housing, your family, visitations, phone, music, internet, things like that. So it was a very interesting dynamic.
And while that was probably difficult for you, that kind of changed your life, being on that show and not having those amenities. It changed your mentality towards the fight game.
Oh yeah, you know, in this breakthrough, I thank God that the breakthrough happened in the middle of the jungle all by myself, just praying to God, and I was able to download that knowledge. But that breakthrough could have happened in jail, in solitary confinement, and it could have happened in a hospital. But I just needed to be by myself. No TV to influence me, no music, no chicks calling me to come party with him or nothing like that. You know, just me by myself. You know, in my own thoughts, coming up with my own formula of everything I had done wrong leading up to that point, everything I had done right leading up to that point, crossing the T's, dotting the I's, and saying, well, if this has led to success, let me multiply that. And if this has led to any type of like stalemate or not a great performance or anything like that, let's X that out of the equation. Let's keep writing this formula. And I come back, my first fight is against Darren Till. I get fight of the night and cut of the night. It just shows me like we're doing something right. Keep going this route. The next fight is Ben Askren. Everybody knows what happened there. The fight took a long time. You know, it was such a long, drawn-out fight, and then blah, 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 blah. But it let me know that I was doing things right. And then the next fight is Nate Diaz, and he gets the business too. So it just let me know that my mind, body, and soul were pointing in the right direction and still are.
You've become so much more popular since then, which means that there's probably a lot more demands of you, whether it's media, whether it's promotion, anything along those lines. You're on the cover of the EA Sports video game. How hard is it for you to have those solitary moments now in order to get some of that inner peace back that you were able to get on that reality show?
Nah, it doesn't happen. Once a fight gets announced, I'll tell you that much. I still make it happen, you know. I still talk to my God every day, every minute of every hour. I find a way to talk to God. That being the most important thing. But the solitary confinement, I don't get to do it. And I could be at ease, at peace with myself by being alone. You know, I don't mind it at all. I don't get it much often, but I'm surrounded by a good group of people that are very much like me. So I'm not by myself, but I'm with others like me. So it helps a lot. You know, and that's something that when I came back into the sport, I'm like, I'm cutting out everything that don't make sense. If it's negative and it just doesn't help, whether it be a person, situation, influence, anything that you could think of, just because I only have one goal, and that's to get where I'm at right now and further.
I didn't realize you were such a religious person. Was that spirituality awoken in you when you were on that show, when you were away from things and had some time to reflect?
No. I've always, since a child, I've always believed in God in a very strong way, you know. And I'm nowhere near perfect. Let me just say that first, because you know, people think because you believe in God, you're supposed to be perfect or something. I'm nowhere near perfect. I just believe in God Almighty.
So explain why a fight against a guy like Kamaru Usman with his skill set is so difficult to do on such short notice like you did last time, and why this time around it's just a completely different ballgame with a full camp.
On average, I cut 7 or 9 pounds per fight when I'm competing at 170 pounds. That fight was 20 pounds, so that was one glaring difference right there, you know. That's something that I didn't 100% coming how I wanted to or how I was expected. The weight cut was a little bit tougher than I expected. As I stand right now, I'm like 11 pounds to go. So just on that alone, we're talking about a lot of more energy. Instead of being wasted into the weight cut and running through that desert, I'm going to waste it on breaking Usman's face.
Now, I spoke to Usman's manager earlier this week. He says he believes Usman is the best welterweight of all time. Now, obviously, he's a formidable competitor, but where do you think he ranks in terms of welterweights all time if you were to look at UFC history?
I just think it's silly that that you're gonna ask his manager. Of course, he's gonna say something like that. You know, you should ask my dad what he thinks of me. But I don't think he's the greatest of all time because there's this guy named GSP that has more title defenses than him. You know, I think there's been a lot of great welterweights. I think at different times, different guys would have beat up different guys. You know, I think like for example, Johnny Hendricks would have been a nightmare matchup for Usman. He knocked him out, I think. You know, so. You know, that's also up for debate, but I just think Johnny Hendricks was a better wrestler with more power, this and that. So we could start with the he say, she say, but as of right now, he's doing well. He's defended that belt a couple times. So he's definitely good. I wouldn't say the greatest.
You're someone who really prides yourself on bringing the fight to your opponent. In a circumstance like the last fight, how annoying was it for you to be in that situation where he's just taking you down repeatedly, keeping you down on the floor, and you're not able to do what you believe is the true spirit of fighting?
Out of 16 takedowns, he converted 5, so I don't think I was taking down often. I was pressing against the cage often and forced to rub feet with this individual, which is, if you've ever seen a fight of mine, not something that I signed up for. I signed up to give everybody in that audience watching, whether they love me or hate me, give them what they spent on that fight, their time, whatever it is that they spent, and give it to them in the form of action and violence. So, I mean, obviously I was frustrated, you know, but we dealt with those issues. We addressed them in the gym immediately after fighting. It's not like it's a 5-week thing. Like in 5 weeks, I got ready for this guy. No. Since the day I got off the plane from Abu Dhabi, I got on a bike. I put on my shoes. I went for like a 6-mile bike ride. And since that day, I've been working every day to break in Usman's face. And now the time has just come.
You mentioned stuffing 11 of the 16 takedowns. You're working with Bo Nickel, one of the most decorated amateur wrestlers really ever. Watching this guy's highlights, he's like watching a knife cut through butter. This guy's just so smooth with his wrestling. How big of a weapon is he for you to be in there with somebody like that day in and day out?
Well, I mean, we talk about, and I could say it's because I competed with Usman, so now I know what he brings to the table. And Bo, it's not fair, you know. If anything, Bo's too much, you know. I'm bringing in somebody that's just too much that this guy's skill set is nowhere near that, you know. Bo, we're talking about a guy that's just a cat, man. He's phenomenal. He can pin guys. He could score from awkward, weird positions. But more than anything, just the mentality and just some of the techniques that we got to share with each other, that he got to share with me in certain situations and positions, how to be more effective with my evasiveness and getting away. Because wrestling from a bottom to get up is an art form. It's a style. And that's why you see when guys hit like a certain level in that getting up, they don't get ridden out. They don't get held down too often. And you just have to bring yourself to that level. And Bo's definitely skyrocketed me a little bit more in that direction. You know, just showing me little things, little setups of how he gets up. You know, hey, instead of going like this, go like this. You know, just one after another and just polishing up every situation that I could possibly land in.
Now, you won the BMF championship. So with the win, would you consider yourself a two-division champion, or is that just something that's entirely unique to you?
When I win, I will definitely consider myself something different than every other champion. That's true, because that is 1-1. And you know, I'm the only one with it. So I'm definitely in the category all by myself. But I always wanted to be in that category all by myself. Not that I'm better than GSP or Massaro, all these other great welterweights that came before me. I'm just different, man. I'm a violent individual. I'm gonna risk myself as much as I can to annihilate the other person in front of me. And you know, it's taken a lot, you know, because for people see me and they say, man, he's a great striker, world-class striker. But for every hour and a half, every hour I have in striking, I have like 2 hours and change in the wrestling match, in the wrestling department. So because that's going to be able to showcase my standing skills, to be able to deflect these grapplers and these guys that just want to hug me and freaking try to prompt that, you know. So it's taking a lot of work, and I just can't wait to show off my tools against Usman's face.
Now this weekend, there's kind of a weird boxing match. Jake Paul taking on Ben Askren. I won't come a former adversary because you will correct me, but I will say somebody who you've shared the cage with before. You look at that particular boxing match. You've worked with Jake Paul. Now with Askren, sorry, go ahead.
No, we ran. Yeah, I know, Ben. We ran into each other briefly. You know, I had some words, and I didn't even know that guy was still alive. But whatever.
Well, he managed to survive. He's got a boxing match this coming weekend. But with his boxing, like, he had to have worked on some sort of sparring over the years at Roufusport with guys like Anthony Pettis, Mike Rhodes. Why do you think that his striking is not going to be able to match up to somebody like Jake Paul?
I could correct you there. Actually, I know people at Duke Roufusport, and they used to train there all the time. And Ben at least, he's true to what he says. He always used to disrespect striking in his MMA interviews. He goes, why do I need to freaking strike or do any strike? I mean, you've seen it, Ben. I don't know if you were able to sit through it because there's like like nails on a chalkboard, you know. But he said it numerous times. That's why I don't have respect for this individual where he downplays striking all the time. He's like, I don't need striking. I'm just going to go in there and wrestle these guys. And yeah, it worked out for him a couple times. But I can't put my money on that guy to go represent us in MMA when you've always disrespected the beautiful sport of striking, that beautiful discipline. That's like me saying, I don't need wrestling. I don't need to train with a guy like Bo or go to Monday morning wrestling practice on my thing because I have natural power and speed. I'll just knock these guys out. How stupid would I sound? And then I'm going to go represent the sport of MMA in a grappling competition or wrestling competition? No, man, I'm not buying it, bro. This guy's a snake oil salesman. Is a way to put it. But you should
just over a year ago. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
So he can go and collect some money now because I ended his ass so damn quick. You know, that's how he's getting this other paycheck. So he should. If he was a real nice guy, he'd send me a portion of his paycheck to me.
Yeah, I don't think we can deny that. I think there's a reason why Jake Paul wants to face Ben Askren, and I think you are a big part of that reason. Now, a year ago, or just over a year ago, you launched your own mezcal, El Recuerto. I was wondering what's happened in the past year in that regard. I imagine that with distribution and everything during this pandemic that sales probably were good. I'd love to hear some good stories about your particular brand of liquor.
We've been doing phenomenal. We were duty-free in Mexico last year as well. Bam. In America, we landed some huge deals with some huge chains. One of these deals, I can't talk about it yet, but it's dropping like right after the fight. It's a huge deal. It's huge for me, and I just love it, you know, because yeah, I'm gonna be good for life, and my kids are gonna be good for life. But more than anything, it opens the doors to other fighters just like me that are like 17, 18, 19 years old, never thinking that they'll be owning a company or things like that. Yes, you can do it too, my brother. And the only way and sister to get paid is not by fighting and having these tyrants tell us what we're actually worth and this and that. Because who would have the amount of revenue that I'm bringing to this company? It's insane, you know. And I hope that this, not to brag, but just opens the doors or opens the eyes at least to a lot of my brothers and sisters in the sport. Like, we could do it, man. We could go and take over, you know. We're getting undervalued right now, and I hate it. But there's other ways for us to make revenue.
Yeah, I'm really glad to hear that. It's always good to hear about athletes being able to monetize outside of the sport. One last question for you. Now, we talked about earlier how you like to be solitary. You like to keep a very tight-knit circle. You're not the most social guy in that regard. How long did it take you to get used to doing all of this media, all of these interviews, and being a little bit more, forthcoming when you're speaking with other people and being more open and more charismatic?
Well, here's the thing. With the camera, I could always just, because I don't know, it's just a camera. It doesn't, it's not the same, you know. With people, it takes a little bit longer. Like, I'm still the same person that I am since I was a kid. If I go to a park and I don't know nobody, I'll just say to myself, you know, people start talking to me, I'll talk back. But I'm always in here, my brother. I'm always in my own mind, figuring out things or trying to improve something in my life or someone close to me. So I do like my alone time, and especially my own mind time. That's why the people that are close to me, they know how I operate. If they see me, I'm quiet. They leave me quiet. They don't talk to me. Go, oh, he's off in his own little world. Just leave him alone. He'll come back in like 2-3 hours. So that's something that definitely helps. Now with the media, I'm from Miami, so I could always talk. I could defend myself. But the media a lot of times didn't help me out. They didn't. I beat up ex-world champions, knocked out top 5 guys. The media wasn't giving me no love. Wasn't putting on page news and things like that. And I was watching other guys get that type of love, you know. And it's it's interesting, you know. That's why with the media, I kind of shut down too for a long time in my career back then. I just didn't want to cop them. But in that formula that I formulated for myself while I was in my year hiatus, one of them was the media. You know, I just had to open up more. I had to let people know who I am. If they're gonna get invested in me, and I'm gonna make the type of money that I wanted to get. You know, since I got into this, I didn't want to be famous because I still get anxiety from it and stuff like that. But I did want to have a lot of money. I did want to provide for my family. So, you know, I did one part of the equation at least.
Well, it's definitely an awesome feel-good story, and we look forward to seeing that next chapter play out when you face Kamaru Usman in front of a full building in Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for doing this, and I look forward to speaking with you again soon.
When I finish Kamaru Usman, thank you, my brother. I'll see you after the fight.